WABG, the Delta's leading news source.
Thanks for joining us here on the ABC6 News Weekend Webcast. I'm Jasmine Anderson. It's Saturday, February 9th, 2013. Our top story tonight. A 22-year-old convicted felon gets life in prison for killing a man. Nathaniel Hamilton of Indianola sits inside the penitentiary at Parchment after being convicted by a Sunflower County jury this week in the 2011 beating death of David Milton. District Attorney Dwayne Richardson says Hamilton and Gerard Nelman beat 60-year-old Melton to death with a lock, then robbing him of his belongings. The jury handing down the guilty verdict of capital murder after 4 days of the trial, but with prosecutors taking the death sentence off the table, Judge Betty Sanders sentenced Hamilton to life. Richardson says Hamilton was already serving time on accessory after the fact when he was charged with Milton's death. As for Nellam, Richardson says he is scheduled to go on trial later this year. Tonight, marathoners enjoyed a pasta dinner in Greenville sponsored by United Healthcare. Marathoners from across the country enjoyed a nice pasta dinner at Kepler's Italian restaurant. Danny Kirkpatrick is no stranger to marathons. Today, he will be running he ran in his 6th, and the Albuquerque, New Mexico native tells ABC6 why pasta is essential for marathon preparation. Kirkpatrick says it's important for runners to load on carbs so that they don't get tired during the race. He says it helps increase your stamina when you are running. United Healthcare and Teach for America officials also had a bite to eat. CEO of United Healthcare believes that people should take care of their food choices, and the marathon is a jump start to break some of your unhealthy barriers.
I think that these kinds of events where you can have fun runs, family runs, all the way up to a marathon, I mean, what better way in a place that typically you don't think about as the healthiest place in the country. And so, you know what? I say we're changing that, and we're pretty excited about it.
And the majority of that, 1 in 3 children in the Mississippi Delta are considered obese. So we have targeted primarily children because we think if we start young, then that will carry over to when they're adults. They learn healthy eating, healthy living, healthy lifestyles, then they will become a healthy eating, healthy living lifestyle adult.
United Healthcare, we were able to team up and create this 1-mile community run. And we have about 160 students who are going to come run, and we're expecting more.
In state news, a national child advocacy group steps into the fight against the zero-tolerance policy inside the school. Groups gathered together to criticize overly harsh zero-tolerance policies at the school, which they say forge a straight path to jail. Friday morning, the State Department of Education hosted Marian Wright Edelman, president of the Children's Defense Fund. She discussed the results of a study in Mississippi on what's called the cradle-to-prison pipeline.
We've seen these discussions before, advocate groups gathering together to criticize overly harsh zero-tolerance policies at schools, which they say forge a straight path to jail. Friday morning, the State Department of Education hosted Marian Wright Edelman, president of the Children's Defense Fund. She discussed the results of a study in Mississippi on what's called the cradle-to-prison pipeline,
which places a black boy born in 2001 at a 1 in 3 chance of going to prison. And a Latino boy, a 1 in 6 chance of going to prison.
Edelman says she's seen 5 and 6-year-old students handcuffed for simple matters like dress code violations.
Come on, adults. Let's really realize we're talking about children and developing children. And come on, parents, let's complain of our children being put out of school.
Edelman was joined by members of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has taken on individual cases in the past. This is the first time a statewide cradle-to-pipeline study has been done.
But what the Children's Defense Fund has done is gathered the data that supports this. It's not just a specific Meridian problem or a Jackson problem, but a state problem.
Specific requests will now be made to the State Department of Education and school districts to modify forms of discipline for students with the overall aim of keeping them in school.
No specific legislation on corporal punishment has been filed during the legislative session. Good night, everyone.
You've been watching the Delta's #1 news source.